playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
speak about?
gambling with
What do you
World
speak
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Hello, I'm Yalda Hakim and I am in London and we're recording this emergency podcast just sort of half an hour or so after this extraordinary, what turned into a heated argument between President Zelenskyy and President Trump. And Richard, you're here with me too, of course, so that we can dissect this and talk about what just happened.
Yes, so I'm Richard Engel. Welcome everyone to this quick turnaround podcast of the world. Yalda, I have never seen anything like it. I think we should get right into this. What just happened?
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts on Apple or Spotify and write to us. Tell us all of your thoughts, any questions you may
There's
have.
going to be a lot of those questions coming in.
Absolutely. At the usual place, theworld@sky.uk. Richard, let's get started.
Yalda, tell us what just happened. You've been on air, I've been on air. I just got back from Ukraine, but just for those of you, for those people out there listening who didn't catch it live, bring us up to speed quickly, and then let's get into it.
I mean, Richard, this was a much anticipated, trip for President Zelenskyy. Don't forget, 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump described him as a dictator for not going to the polls, said his approval rating was at 4%. So all eyes were on this trip, this minerals deal that they were going to sign. The pens were ready, the table was ready, the cameras were there. Lunch, I believe there was chicken and salad and creme brulee was set out for them.
You got a menu already.
I
You had
saw
a readout of a menu.
I heard what was going to be on the menu. I mean, they haven't been fed, by the way, Richard. They've left because, of course,
He was
this
thrown
argument.
out. He said that he was thrown out, humiliated. I've never seen anything like that. But go on. So the menu was ready. The pens were ready. They were going to do this deal. They were going to have a lunch. But
I mean, about sort of, I guess, 40 minutes or so into this discussion at the Oval Office, the press was there. Things just broke down. And when you look at their faces, when you're watching this actual event unfold, both men, it's almost like you can see them seething, the steam coming out of their ears. They just got into such a heated argument that went on and on and on. And as you say, we haven't seen anything like it.
we're going to play the entire thing at the end. So we're going to discuss this for a while. We're going to play a few clips so people can follow along. But for those who want to hear unedited, unfiltered, without our commentary, just here it is. You can find it at the end. I just got home. I'm at home now. I just left Ukraine. And people thought, okay, this deal was going to happen. It was going to get signed today. And it was looking like a relatively good moment for Ukraine, that they were trying to make lemonade out of lemons, right? They were trying to play a weak hand fairly well. As you said, exactly. President Zelenskyy, who initially proposed doing this mineral deal.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, it was his idea. He wanted to do this in order to foster this relations. He just didn't want a huge bill. He said, oh, let's do an economic partnership. Trump came back with him with a $500 billion bill and no promises of security guarantees.
So they were supposed to sign this thing.
And they were going to sign it. And Europe was saying, we'll do the security guarantees. And they were at the Oval Office. And the way Trump is doing it now is he'll bring in people to the Oval Office. Then they have initially what's called the spray, where the cameras are let in, high, fast clicks. And then they traditionally in a spray, you take like one question, two questions, but it's kind of ritualized. Then they were to go off and, have their creme brulee and then come back and sign this deal.
And have a press conference.
That was the plan. But during the spray, it all went off the rails. And it was started by Vance saying, you better just be silent and be thankful for what you're getting. Hey, let's play.
And yeah, let's have a listen, because as you say, J.D. Vance, the vice president, baited him and he took the bait. But let's have a listen.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Richard, okay, for me, it's sort of the three things that stood out, and I've sort of written a note here. Donald Trump saying to Volodymyr Zelensky, you are gambling with World War III.
I'm not playing cards. Yes, you are playing cards.
You have to be thankful. Your comments were very disrespectful. I mean, Volodymyr Zelensky was not backing down.
Trump is going to be, and the sort of Trump machine is going to be beating up on Zelensky. I expect there to be personal insults against Zelensky, making fun of his height. He's now going to be like little unappreciative Zelensky because, Trump sort of likes to make these analogies about people's, or insults about people's physical appearance. It was tough to watch, but as you said, Zelensky didn't back down. And he's now the only world leader, and we've been talking about this a lot over the last several months, who has done anything close to this. Macron sat there not long ago, smiled and said, yes, Mr. President. Charmed him. Macron was complimented for the beauty of his French, and Trump was like, wow, that was a beautiful, display of the French language. They seem to be getting along very well. This time, President Zelensky got there and was saying, hey, yes, we're going to send this deal, but we still need security guarantees. And J.D. Vance basically said, sit down, shut up. You're not being appreciative.
Thank you.
Your job is to sit there, sign, and say thank you. And Zelensky was like, whoa, what are you doing like this? Why are you talking to me like this? We need security guarantees. We don't trust Russia. And then Trump, watching this argument, came in on his vice president's side and doubled down, and he had to have the last word.
He's not raising his voice, and he's
defended him. And then, of course, Trump has to win the argument. He has to end it, and it ended badly, and it's not over here.
No, but drama and theatrics aside, Richard, let's just dissect what the worst case scenarios here could be, okay? Worst case scenario, the United States pulls back its support from Ukraine.
Oh, that's going to happen very
right?
soon. Like
the Europeans
soon.
then, are they in a position to step up?
No.
The other scenario is Zelensky steps down and resigns. And you know what? He thinks, well, I'm going to go down, in a respectful way. I go in, I face this guy. I didn't kiss the ring. I didn't suck up to him. I didn't do what the others did. I stood up for my country, and now I'm stepping down because that's going to be part of the sort of deal.
Yeah. The only question I have is, was this spontaneous or was he deliberately set up? So he went in there, everybody knew, as you said, that he was coming, that he was going to sign the deal, and then suddenly Vance is there instigating him. And was this just Vance sort of starting an argument and then the argument escalating and then Trump weighing in and then the situation breaking down? Was this a big personalities in a room? Or was there more to it? Was this deliberately done? Did Vance come in with this plan? I don't know. And at this stage, I don't know. But there's a lot of water under these bridges because you listen to Vance. He was talking about things that have nothing to do with Ukraine. He said, you were here, not only unappreciative, you were here campaigning for the opposition. You were here campaigning for the Democrats.
Stirring the pot.
You're a traitor. You're not with us. You should be here saying, thank you, shut up, sign, and get out of the building. That was Vance's position at the beginning. So, and then Trump kept saying, Putin has gone through a lot, and Putin and I went through Russia Gate together, and we did you a big favor. You guys have been brave, but you only would have been brave if you because you had American guns in your hands, etc. So disrespectful to all the soldiers from Ukraine who really have been brave, and the Ukrainians. So the question that I have is, was he deliberately set up?
Well, Richard,
or was this just something
let's
that
think
that
about
fell apart?
Donald Trump, right? I mean, when you think about the world leaders who have gone to see him this week, the French president, the British prime minister, they've all tried to understand the Trump mindset, that his grand strategy is ego. There's narcissism there and there's ego there. And we've talked about this a lot in terms of the position that Donald Trump takes. So, yesterday we saw the British Prime Minister unveil this turned up bearing gifts, this letter from the king, this very special historic letter that meant he would go for a second rare state visit, right?
Another state visit, yes.
Emmanuel Macron showed up. The bromance was on again, is how everyone described
I'm sure
it.
he brought a nice.
They sort of called him, Charmer Starmer.
Charmer Starmer.
And I think
is that going to stick? By the way, is that you're in the UK now? Is that
Zelensky, has always taken this kind of shopping list to European leaders. I need this weapon, I need that. And there have been moments where commentators have said, is he being a bit ungrateful? But no, we have to support him. And this was not going to work with the Trump folks. I mean, did you
whole
notice?
concept of gratefulness. The Ukrainians think, hey, we're the ones who need to be getting thanked here. We're the ones who are doing the fighting and the dying in order to keep Russia in a box and not sending troops over into Poland. So when Ukrainians hear grateful, they're like, what are you talking about? And I think that's the disconnect, part of the disconnect. One is about the concept of grateful. The Ukrainians are like, you should be grateful. Sure, you're sending money to Ukraine, although most of that money is going back to the United States because it's used to buy defense contracts and American weapons, a lot of them which were sort of for older generation anyway. But the Ukrainians' perspective is, we are shouldering the new Cold War. We are shouldering the fight here, and instead of showing us appreciation, you're giving us a ridiculous bill, and then you're publicly humiliating the leader, and then basically sending him packing from the White House. Don't let the
there was
door
no
hit you on
lunch.
the back.
There was
on your
no
way out.
signing.
No creme brulee of any kind.
I mean, we don't know, let's see. I just think, in this moment, there is no point in freaking out. And I think that, calm heads should prevail in this moment, because who knows? Let's wait and see how this drama ends. But, so many people have said we've seen nothing really like this. I mean, we know that allies, partners, frenemies, adversaries, they argue when it comes to geopolitics behind closed doors, but it never happens right in front of the cameras, never in the Oval Office,
And more
never
than
in
that,
this way.
I think it wasn't just an insight into the dirty world of politics as usual. This was insight to how sort of Trump is holding court. He brings someone, and if that person doesn't supplicate in front of him and do exactly what is expected of him, one of his hitmen, in this case J.D. Vance, went on the attack, and then Trump was like, "Yeah, of course,
Well,
we
there
got
was, there was an
a
interesting moment, Richard, where one of the other, people, I don't know who it was, but yelled out, "Can I ask you a question?" to Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and he said yes. And he said, "Why don't you wear a suit? You've arrived here, you're showing disrespect. You're a head of state. Why don't you wear a
That's
suit?"
again why I was wondering, was this all spontaneous? Because he walked in, and the immediate question, "You're wearing a suit, it's disrespectful." This is a guy who has said he's going to wear a suit because this country's at war, and when the country's no longer at war, he'll take his suit off. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche that world leaders have done before in times of crisis, right? So was it all set up? I don't know. Or it reveals this tension that you
This
felt.
tension
that a
that's
lot of
existed
people, from the beginning. A lot of people who are in the Trump orbit think Ukraine is a losing battle. That that Zelenskyy is the real instigator here. If you read online, a lot of the sort of people who are backing Trump or the people who he's brought in have been following that line, following kind of Putin's line that Zelensky's the problem, he's the aggressor, he's the unelected dictator, not Putin. Man.
I mean, it's a lot. Volodymyr Zelenskyy tried there to talk about the annexation of Crimea and the men that he's lost and, the sacrifices of the families. It was just falling on deaf ears. And once he'd lost Donald Trump in terms of, the anger that came through, as you say, it was probably simmering under the surface for some time, because I think that Donald Trump views the Ukraine conflict as a Joe Biden thing.
I'm cleaning up that guy's mess, and you should be thanking me for it.
And I want to deal with someone that I respect, Vladimir Putin. And Zelenskyy even said, they don't think we're a country. They don't think we exist. They don't think we're real. But it was sort of falling on deaf ears. So we'll have to wait and see, Richard, how this pans out over the course of the next few days and the next few weeks.
And finally, editorial note, as promised, the whole thing at the end, you can hear it and make judgments for yourself. But you mentioned how Zelenskyy may have thought, okay, I'm going to go down. I'm going down with pride. All right, I'm going to try and, or he was just incredibly brave, or he was incredibly stupid. I don't know, but maybe a combination of all of these things.
Maybe a combination of all of them. Yeah.
To take on the Vice President of the United States, President Trump, who's a force of personality, in the White House in a language that is not your own, not your native language. That's tough. That's tough.
It is. It was a kind of almost, as you say, I feel like it's a combination of all of those things because we're yet to see how this will unfold, and the Kremlin will be watching very closely.
He's going to have a good weekend, Vladimir Putin is. And now we'll leave you with the exchange.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden, of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him. A lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country,
I'm
that's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you,
your
far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
you're speaking
America
about.
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I...
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
allowed.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
allowed.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and your
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if,
West
if you
Africa?
didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of
except
times
that
thank
there,
you
except
to
that,
American people.
except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on
I
over
understand,
there.
sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running low
I
on
know.
soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
that
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
with
a
you.
guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
But this
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry,
It's going to
here.
be a tough deal to make,
Um,
because the attitudes have to change.
what if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what
She's
if
asking,
Russia-
what if Russia
Putin
breaks the
breaks
ceasefire?
for the-
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they have
Okay?
broken
What if they
ceasefire
broke it?
many
I don't know.
times.
They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
But all-
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia, the 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam, and he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Yalda, I've never heard anything like it. Humiliating for Zelenskyy, humiliating for Ukraine. And frankly, I think allies are going to be watching this exchange and wondering, am I going to be in that position next?
Well,
Whatever happens, if you need something from the United States, you're going to get called to the mat, talked over, and then kicked out without any lunch or dessert.
Well, Emmanuel Macron has already responded to this, and he has said we need to support Ukraine. We have, basically saying we have no regrets for supporting Ukraine over the course of the last 3 years. We did the right thing to sanction Russia. They were attacked. Russia is the aggressor. We need to continue to support Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He worked really hard to try and charm Trump this last week, and I feel like it's all just blown up in all of their faces. But we'll have to wait and see how the next week pans out.
Yalda, great to see you, and we'll keep this conversation going. Again, thanks to everyone. Keep subscribing, keep liking, keep listening, watching, doing everything, and tell your friends.
Richard, really good to see you. As you say, you've just come out of Ukraine. I sort of wish you were back in Ukraine quite quickly to get the pulse of the place, but no doubt you move quickly, so we probably may see you there. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this emergency podcast.